Hello, everyone. This is Henny Espinosa with Just Wish Foundation. Tonight, we are joined by Jacob Bells, the pastor of Christ is Love Church from Hendersonville, Tennessee. And the pastor and his church members have turned their faith into action because they've been helping the victims of the Tennessee tornadoes. Earlier this month, Tennessee was hit by a series of tornadoes which have flattened communities, displaced so many people, and of course killed and injured so many people. And the church has been doing what they can to really step up and give much needed supplies to the victims of this tragedy. Thanks so much for joining us on Just Wish Foundation, Pastor Jacob.
Yes, I'm so glad to be here and to share this story.
So, Pastor, tell us a little bit about kind of the situation in Tennessee. It's been really rough there since the tornadoes hit earlier this month. Describe for us how dire the situation is there now in Tennessee.
Yes. Unfortunately, in Middle Tennessee, tornadoes is not new. Actually, in fact, in the last 2 decades, we've had devastating tornadoes. Recently, in 2020, that came through the Nashville area in East Nashville, just terrorizing neighborhoods, destroying buildings. So here in 2023, just 3 years after that tornado, this tornado came through three specific cities:
Mhm,
Hendersonville, Tennessee, which is where I pastor; another town known as Madison, Tennessee; and another area known as Clarksville, Tennessee.
mhm,
In Hendersonville, where I serve as a pastor, there are multiple businesses that were completely wrecked. Their buildings are gone. A lot of the street, the main street of Hendersonville, a lot of tree debris, a lot of just damage everywhere. Thankfully, and across our entire city, we had no casualties of life that happened in our ginormous city.
mhm,
But in Madison and in Clarksville, they did have the worst of it. A total of, I believe, 6 to 7 deaths that happened between Madison and Clarksville,
mhm,
Tennessee. So it has been within the last couple of days, moving on
mhm,
into 2 weeks. We're seeing a lot of changes of rhythm where people are learning, hey, you know what? My business really is gone. That there is no coming back from that
yeah.
same old building. There's going to be adjustments. And as we move into the holiday season, uh, there's a lot of, hey, this is not going to be what it's going to look like as we
Yeah.
move in to this. So a lot of
Yeah.
changes have happened.
hmm When you first heard about this, I understand you were actually away. You were in Florida. You were on a speaking engagement. But when you got back, what did you do as pastor to really, check up on the church members and also help mobilize? Because while amidst all of this, you have the presence of mind to really make sure that people are still doing their part to help out, especially the ones who've been really impacted by the tornadoes.
Yes. So my specific role at this church, which is called Christ is Love Church, my role is the community life pastor. And what that in a lot of ways is to say I am over groups and men as well as the community outreach, community missions area of the church. So when it comes to how we organize movement into tragedy like this, that is all in my wheelhouse. That's all in how I am able to navigate what our next steps are in alignment with our lead pastor. So as soon as I came back to the state of Tennessee, it was a lot of meeting with our partners, our community partners
Mhm,
in the area, just checking in to see, hey, what food needs to come in
mhm,
your way? Do we need to move people to the American Red Cross to a specific sheltered area? What are tree debris looking like when it comes to cleaning up the streets? What are things looking like there? And then coming back down to just the actual buildings. Are you in a safe
mhm,
area? Is the integrity in the building that you're in an area that you can continue to meet? So
mhm,
one of the immediate things that we did as a church was open up our building space for
mhm,
any church or organization to use it.
mhm,
Now, we were not the only church that did this. Other churches in the area and other organizations opened up their space. Again, fortunately, in our area, there was a lot of sheltering in place. It's a term
Mhm.
that we learned from the COVID-19 pandemic.
Mhm.
But there was a lot of sheltering in place because there wasn't a lot of homes that were destroyed. It was just primarily businesses. When it
Mhm.
came to food, like we still had grocery stores open and things like this. But when it comes to the overall morale, when we're talking about the mental health status of the city,
Mhm.
there was a lot of just support that was needed. And quite frankly, I didn't have to do too much work only because you could say maybe in the state of Tennessee, since we're the volunteer state, that we had a lot of people that wanted to help. But really, there's something about our city where we saw neighbors helping other neighbors.
Mhm.
When it came to just two houses down, when it came to just two businesses down, people were calling off their Mondays and Tuesdays to help
Yeah.
clean up debris, to get out of their busy schedules to help the guy or gal that they've been again doing life right next to for however long. So
Mhm.
it was a lot of just assessing,
Mhm.
partnering, listening, and seeing how we can care for these people in the long haul. That was assembling the plan that I
Mhm.
had for our people.
So your church in particular was not destroyed or damaged, fortunately, right?
Correct. Now we did have members that it had some house damage, whether it
Mhm.
was glass that was broken through. Some people had a lot of roof damage. In fact, a lot of reports came with roof damage. One of the first things that we did in our congregation was check through with our people via social media and just
Mhm.
said, "Hey, are you okay?
Yeah.
We're here with you. We see you. What are your needs?" And there are a lot of what I like to call the shadow side of social media, where there could be a lot of things that could be said on social media, things like this. But
Yeah.
this is actually a big positive to social media.
Yeah, I
That people
agree.
are
Yeah.
very well connected. They're willing to
Yeah.
tell what they
In
need.
times of
Um,
disaster, that's how you check up on people sometimes, especially if power is out and and this would be that would be the most effective way sometimes to check up on people. And so did people respond to that when that was put out?
Yes, they did, and they responded honestly, like, "Hey, this is where I was." And again, when the tornado came through Hendersonville, it was around 5 p.m. on a Saturday, and I don't know what you're doing on a Saturday night, but that's typically when people are out. They're out at dinner. For me, I was just I think finishing up a seminar with this speaking engagement I was at, and I was having dinner with the people that I was with, and it was just coming through, and that's when I was getting texts on my phone. People were out at restaurants, people were out bowling, what you would do on a Saturday evening. So it was very very scary because this is not the type of situation where you're again in your home. A lot of them were out in the businesses, which is very was the terrifying part about it, which is why we were just very thankful that at least in our city that there was not any physical life taken.
So let's talk about kind of the specific the next steps that you guys took. So there was the debris cleaning, right? That you mentioned. What was that situation like when you guys began working on the cleanup?
Yes. So the first, again, within 48 to 72 hours, a lot of what was happening in the city was a neighbor on neighbor kind of love, the kind help that was happening. So a lot of the leadership in the city was navigating a pause to getting on the streets because emergency people need to get onto the streets, need to check. Where things are needing to be done. NES, which stands for the Nashville Electric, or no, NEC, Nashville Electric Company. They were going through just to get power back on. A lot of a lot of the town did not have electricity. They didn't have any power. So we're talking about 3 or 4 days of people that just did not have power. So they were at home. And again, people are working from home now. They're doing everything that they can at home. So a lot of people just couldn't work. So they had a lot more time to go and help their neighbor. So this is what was happening the first 48 to 72 hours.
Mhm.
But once the power got back on in the city, we are in partnership with the city chamber as well as other nonprofits that are in the area. And instead of everyone doing their their own like siloed Good Samaritan kind of cause. Everyone came together and started to communicate, collaborate on how we could come together during this time. And there was a set time for the actual cleanup debris to happen on the Saturday following, so a full 7 days. The emergency, like getting big debris out of the way, had been taken care of. So this was the like just doing what we can to finish the job. So we partnered with multiple groups that we did not start, but we just said, hey, we're gonna follow suit with what you have going on. And this was all led by the city because the city had been working tirelessly. The emergency responders have been working tirelessly, and I think for organizations like churches and nonprofits, the best thing to do is just to get out of the way, listen to your city, see how you can follow suit. And then once those orders or once those things are given, we're able to do a coordinated job in cleaning up. So the Saturday after all of this was when we actually started to clean up. And we had from, I believe it was as early as 7 a.m. to all the way through late in the afternoon. People were all across the city, hundreds of people going to cleaning up different streets, which the main part of it was just the main strip and the side streets of that area in Hendersonville. So it really is cool that even in the midst of tragedy, you have one, people willing to respond to each other, two, the people willing to be patient with one another, and then three, willing to actually step in on a Saturday to give up a day like this to actually meet a need. And I wouldn't be surprised going forward if our community will continue to find ways to serve one another.
Let's talk about the supplies, the much needed supplies that are being distributed to the affected residents. So what are these items, and how have you guys been able to collect and distribute them?
Yeah, the items that we have first started to use, we had different organizations just drive into the city and they gave up things that you wouldn't think you would need unless you've gone through a tornado. And that was giant trash cans, tarps to cover roofs, especially now. We're talking December, it's cold. You never know when things going to come through, wind, a chill wind coming through. So tarps are very important. Rakes, shovels, a lot of water, just these kind of supplies when it comes to the actual disaster piece. Now, when it comes to the need of, we're talking as young as early childhood kiddos, 0 to 2 years old, all the way up to kids, teenagers. We're just in that time where you want to give an abundance of what you can help them in. So food, clothes. There have been multiple clothes drives that have happened in the last recent days. Now, one of the things that we did with our church is that we just noticed that there was so much need being met by multiple churches, by multiple organizations. So we talked to one of our partners. And that partner is called Grace Place Ministries. They're a group that cares for women who've been domestically abused. And they were hit by this tornado. They lost power. They needed a generator. All their mamas had babies under the age of 2. It's just a situation where they could not go long without warmth. And because our city is so moved by compassion and love, that need was met within hours. Food was given, multiple heaters were given. So we were seeing that they were being taken care of for the immediate need. But when it comes to disaster relief, you don't want to just think about what's immediate. You also want to think about how this affects them going down the line, especially with mamas and kids that have already gone through so much in their own life. So we talked with their executive director and we just said, hey, we noticed that you've been loved on really well and we're cheering you on. We believe in you. We see you. How else can we support you beyond these first 4 to 5 days? Because we know that you're going to be need to be loved on going forward. And what she said, Jacob, we just need Bibles. Right now, in this certain time, we just want to tell our moms, we just want to tell these kids that even when all of this has happened, the true statement is that they're still loved, that they're still cared for. God loves them. and they just need to be reminded that. Is there any way that you can give us multiple Bibles, like 20 for the moms and 20 for the kids? So we were able to meet that need because that's something that they needed going forward. And that really played into the recovery of once a disaster comes through, not just the immediate need, but how to walk alongside them, affirm them the truth when they get scared, when another, again, when a kiddo knows that here in Tennessee, the first of the month is when we practice our tornado sirens. And anytime you hear that there could be a traumatic response to hearing those things. So just reminding them the truth that, hey, that was a very scary night. God loves you. I love you. Our community came around us. So those kind of things, when it comes to disaster relief, you want to do whatever you can to care for the immediate need. But we also need to be considering, hey, what does this look like the next 3 months, the next 3 years? Even though there was not any physical casualties in our city, trauma is an ordinary response to an extraordinary event. And for those that are going through this was certainly an extraordinary event.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, now that the Christmas season is here, there's you were talking about making sure that they do not forget that they're loved. They do not forget that there is support for them. Jacob, when you see tragedies like these happen, do you feel that beyond the darkness, really the human kindness shines through? The people's faith really gets strengthened in times like these. Do you see that happening?
I definitely do. And I think the most fitting thing when you talk about the Christmas season, you think about candlelight services, you think about lights. And we are, especially as this interview is going on, it's the longest night. It's the shortest day of light that there is in the calendar. And when you think about Christmas and you think about tragedy, it really is overwhelming to think about how darkness can consume, and it can consume fast. But when you think about Christmas and you think about that candlelight service, when you get together on Christmas Eve, you think about how all those candles, although it's very dark, one candle lights another, and the next thing you know, the light rushes the darkness. And I do think that when you look at that picture, you see that it's because community that's inspired by the light, that's inspired by this hope that comes by the Christmas message that comes because of Christ Jesus. We're able to, once that light appears, share it to the rest of the people that are around us. And that's what community is.
Yeah.
Community is being able to share the light in the midst of darkness.
Yeah.
And there's a lot going on in our world, but we can see that when darkness is there, light is definitely going to rush in and say, you're not alone.
Yeah.
We're here with you. You're loved.
Yeah. That light can never be dimmed, with faith and love and just the community coming together in times like these. So thanks so much, Jacob, for all that you guys do with Christ is Love Church. And for us at Just Wish Foundation, we're so touched by your efforts to really help those that have been impacted by the tornadoes. It's tough times, and in times like this when Christmas is here, and and it's people go through all of these challenges. Like I said, even in the toughest times, you really see people stepping up and have turned that faith into action. We truly admire you guys, and we want to help support. I know that help is still very much needed there. I mean, the recovery part, bouncing back from this tragedy is obviously it's still ongoing up to the coming year, and we want to do our part and help support you guys with a monetary donation, and we just salute you guys for doing what you can for the community, and for you as well with your leadership, Jacob, and we want to do our part, and we just want to give all our support to you guys because we know that the community can bounce back from this, certainly with love, with care, and with faith that put into action. So thank you so much, Jacob, for all that you do in the community there in Tennessee.